6:54 on this Thursday. A new study, it's out of the Center for Health Equity Studies in Stockholm, looking at the effect of allowing children of divorced parents to spend time with both. And the study says, look, that it's highly beneficial. So do parents allow for that, or are they willing to do that typically when they're dealing with divorce? Tim Hoch is a legal strategist and attorney, deals with all kinds of civil cases, including divorce. It's hochlawfirm.com. That's HOCH lawfirm.com. Tim, great to have you here. Oh, there he goes. Okay, let's try him again. Hopefully he wasn't sitting on the line too long. And hopefully he'll be here. The study is they took 150,000 of these Swedish children from 12 to 15, and they basically looked at all kinds of issues they're having, if they were having sleeping problems, concentrating, decreased appetite, headaches, that kind of thing. And what they found is that 69% of kids who lived in these nuclear families apparently were not having these issues at all, but the main problem was those that did not get to spend time with both parents. Again, Tim Hoch, an attorney, he deals with divorce cases quite often, and he knows the dynamics there. Hey, Tim, great to have you here.
Good morning, or good afternoon. Excuse me. Sorry about that, Michael.
No, afternoon. Afternoon is good. Now, let me ask you this: do parents, when they're going through divorce, because you're an attorney, you're trying to settle the case, do you talk to them about the well-being of their children in the process?
That's one of the first things I address. If a parent comes to me and they're about to get divorced and they want to get divorced, that's the very first thing we consider is talking about your kids and making sure that the kids' well-being is paramount. And
how do they see it? Because I'm guessing the kids don't want the parents to get divorced. How is that addressed, and how do you work through it in the process of actually getting divorced?
Well, the biggest thing is communication, right? I mean, there's a lot of bitterness that goes into divorce. And so when you have a client come in to see you, you have to tamp down the emotion. That's the first thing, because what you need to explain to a client is this is a business decision, all right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to deal with the ramifications of this either emotionally or financially the rest of your life. So why don't we square away the emotional part and then deal with the financial part? And part of that is making certain you don't use kids as leverage or as a bargaining chip.
As a bargaining chip? In what way do you see that being done?
Oh, denying a visitation, things like that. Using that as, hey, I'll allow you custody if I get a bigger piece of the pie. I mean, this sounds really gross and horrible, but it's true. I mean, there's a lot of folks that come in and actually use kids as a bargaining chip, unfortunately.
What, lose, win. Hey, Tim, let me ask you this. So I hear parents sometimes saying that they actually feel it's not good for their child's well-being to be with the other parent. They feel like they're a bad influence. How do you deal with that kind of thing?
Well, that's, sometimes the courts help with that, and they'll intervene, and they'll do in-home studies or psychological studies or things that try to give some sort of objective point of view, and that helps. And you tell your client, look, you're going to get looked at, and your spouse or your soon-to-be ex-spouse is going to get looked at, and if they're vetted. So if you're BSing me, then don't do that.
What are you saying? Oh, they don't want that process to begin where they get investigated?
Right. Well, or if they, or like I said, there's going to be an in-home study, and the in-home study is usually going to try to determine who's best for the kids in terms of long-term possessory care, and they'll lighten up on telling lies about the other side.
I see. It kind of breaks through. Is it the splitting the custody? Is that the best kind of setup usually, or not so?
Absolutely, it's the best setup because the kids. That's what they want. The kids want to be able to have contact with both parents and not have the two sides play against the middle. And most mature folks are able to come to that arrangement. It may be difficult at first, but most mature folks are able to sit down and say, all right, here's what we're going to do. And I've seen folks that come to my office that you think they will never, ever agree on what's in the best interest of the kids. And, 9 times out of 10, they do.
And what is it usually weekdays with one parent and maybe weekends with the other? What's the typical deal?
It's typically over. And they split holidays, and then there's a midweek arrangement with maybe a Wednesday or something. The Wednesdays between when they don't get the kids, so that kind of thing.
So they split holidays too. Do the parents end up enjoying their time off, or do they just want to have the kids as much as possible?
Well, that depends. Depends on the kid. I've got some parents who are like, "Oh, please come take him," and then I've got parents that can't get enough. So But yeah, no, it depends. Before they get to teenagers, they want all they can. Once they get to teenagers, they don't want everything to do with them. So
that's when the other
I'm kidding and being anecdotal, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, it's a different stage of life. They can be temperamental. So essentially that you're saying this study out of Sweden, it's probably correct that psychologically the kids that have that split time with their parents do better than those that only get to be with one.
Yeah, definitely, no question about it. I mean, they need the influence of both the mom and the dad.
Do you talk to the kids at all as a divorce attorney, or are they not part of that discussion?
I really don't, but the judge usually does. And typically, in most states, the judge will consider the wishes of the child if they're over the age of 12.
Over 12, so they can actually dictate who they stay with permanently, and that is the process. Yeah. Not a fun process, but many people go through it and survive. And Tim Hoch is one of the guys that helps them through it. Tim Hoch, a legal strategist, attorney, deals with all kinds of civil law, including, of course, divorce. HochLawFirm.com. Tim, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.